Welcome to another episode of Exorcists in Cars Getting Coffee. This is the May 8th edition? We're Thursday, May 8th. Where are we? I don't know. My mind's kind of messed up right here. It's early morning. I'm off to a physical therapy class. Get some work on some old battle damage that happened to the body here. It's been lasting for decades, I think. But anyhow, I usually do this unedited stream to fit topics into discussions I don't have time for in Tales of Glory. I'm kind of backed up on my subject matter right now with all the research and things I'm working on. Like I still got to finish up, it's past Easter and I still got to finish up the Resurrection Sunday research and episode, but it just took a lot of time and we were getting ready for a business trip. My wife was a featured artist on a cruise, and so I had to drop my doing and do the cruise, right? It's more important right there. But it's life gets in the way and other things. But what I want to talk about here is stuff that I used to squeeze into what I called a fireside chat in Tales of Glory, and now we have like these little portable cameras that go everywhere with us. It's easier to squeeze it in the Exorcists in Cars Getting Coffee sessions. And what I want to talk about is all the crazy, weird, false testimony and false information that's out there right now by social media influencers who hide behind their ministries and say what they're doing is doing for God. Now, I've had two people on my list constantly. If you're a Tales of Glory listener, you know that I've always frowned upon the ministries of the 5F Church, the Apostle Catherine, or Kat as she was called in her previous club music developing life. And with our friend Katie Souza, who seems to have visitations every freaking night. So that's the other thing regarding Katie Souza and her visitations. We're going through the material in Tales of Glory of St. Teresa of Avila, who did have visitations, who did experience the supernatural. And I know most people, I've experienced visitations. I've experienced manifestations of Jesus. And how is it Katie Souza is experiencing far more visitations and mystical experiences than St. Teresa of Avila, who was a cloistered nun, and she spent her whole time praying and talking to Jesus. Start looking at the picture here, why I'm looking at why things don't line up, why things are bogus. And that's why I throw Katie Souza at the wall. I'm sorry to say she's providing false testimony. It is. And now a new one we're adding to the wall is Troy Brewer. Why are we doing this? Why are they false testimony? Let's start with Troy. I love researching giants. I love researching the history they have in the Old Testament. And it's pretty safe to say there may not be any more giants existing anymore. I think David's mighty men wiped out the last of them, the six-fingered, red-haired guys as they were described in the Bible. Now, when we see these ministers start coming out and boasting, hey, I saw this, I saw a giant in the jungle in Mexico. Ain't that right, Bob, or whoever was with them? I've done enough exorcisms, enough dealing with hauntings, enough mental wellness issues and stuff. When people come in for counseling, like, what the heck is going wrong with you? Tell me your story, but I got to discern what the story is. Like a crime scene, right? You're going to get your people in, and everybody's going to have a different story. And you, as a police officer at the crime scene, have to determine what really happened based on the evidence, based on what people are telling you. Are they lying to you? Or did they make stuff up? Or did they think they had experience that didn't really happen? Things like that. And you go through all this. And since 2005, it's been over 20 years, I'm used to going through stories, and I kind of like watching stories on the internet as people tell stories like this, because I can tell by body language who's not telling the truth. Now, my biggest problem here is false testimony. Maybe the guy did see a giant. I think there's a 99% chance that this is a false testimony. And based on the person's body language and watching them on different channels and watching different other stories they presented, it may be some sort of narcissism or something going on here. And I think it happens when these pastors graduate themselves from shepherds to social media influencers it's no longer important what is the truth. What is important is increasing the number on your algorithm to get the likes and get these other people. And that's why I'm throwing it in the can here. We see it with the Apostle the Apostle Catherine Crick, Katie Souza, and Trey Brewer. I just had the opportunity to come back from Mexico, from that area, just this last week. So this stuff's still fresh. Well, it's fresh with him, because I think he went there 4 weeks earlier and said he saw this stuff, and I was kind of in that local area. And his setup was, since he was by the pyramids and stuff, and the charismatic church wants everybody to believe every pyramid they see is built by giants. Not true. Not true. In fact, it's possible most of these pyramids were not built by any giants. Were they worshiping the Watchers? Yes. And go look that up. That term's not what it means, charismatic church, because you need to understand your demonology and angelology. But were they built by giants? The stones I saw on the temples at Chacoban, Mexico, were built by slaves. Here I am, a 60-year-old man. I've got a really bad limp from, like I said, a previous spiritual battle. It's been lasting years. It's like, I think it's been like Paul's thorn in my side. In fact, I'm going now to go work on get it healed. Those weren't built by giants. I mean, I, as a 60-year-old injured man, could lift those stones and carry them. And I probably would have been sacrificed afterwards. Sacrificed to who? You know, the blood covenant, to the Watchers, who these gods were. They had a sun god also, just like Egypt did. Go figure. Let's connect the dots. But did Pastor Troy see a giant? I'm saying 99% hands down, I believe this is a false testimony. And I can tell by his body language. And he goes to every podcaster. I know he's trying to probably get on Blurry Creatures. I know he got on Convalescence, or whatever the other one is. It's kind of like a Blurry Creatures. Telling his story. I'm telling you right now, I said, look up there. I was watching it for 20 minutes. My background is, I was with Bethel pastors, and those guys are narcissists, man. They're narcissists. It's all about them. And when I was in the jungle with some of these Bethel pastors. And Mike, where's your camera? Get a picture of me doing this. We all had our cell phones. We all had our cameras. I had a flip camera back in the early 2010. I took in the jungle with me. We always had some sort of camera, digital camera during this time to capture stuff. That's how I captured on my one of my YouTube channels, the 20-foot anaconda. Captured a giant spider on that, giant bird spider. We always see stuff. Oh, look at your camera out. They always had a camera available. So you mean to tell me all these men with this narcissist pastor, nobody had a camera? Even we got a picture of leaves rustling, something. No, they all stood there for 20, 30 minutes. Look over there. And the other guy looked, it ran off. Number two, the jungle, the interior. You can't, bipedal creatures like our Celsian giants have a hard time moving through the jungle, especially the larger ones, because it's so thick and thorny, and that's why you need a machete or something to cut your way through. You just can't wander through the jungle. It doesn't happen. It's thick. It's horrible. So how did this giant survive? What was he eating? I'm chalking this one up as bad. Not good. No bueno. So like I said, go ahead and throw cabbage at me, put it in the stockade, wherever you will. Let's move on to the Apostle. No, we already did the Apostle. We've done enough for her. She's already getting torn up enough. I think the one who's hiding in the shadows and doesn't get enough of the exposure, and I think she's about to get it, is Katie Souza. I have a friend, we share back and forth all her Instagram reels. Oh my God, if you sit there and watch them, they're funny. But what's not funny is people are taking what she's saying as the truth. She knows little factual information biblically about spiritual warfare. When you listen to her talk, it's all about her. And she'll talk about big and revival and all this stuff, but she rarely mentions Jesus. When she mentions their miracles, she's the one who makes metal disappear out of the body. It sounds like one of these Oprah Winfrey shamans. They go down to South America and we'll make metal disappear, and we'll make stuff disappear in the body. And so, you know. And so I've been questioning her for a long time. I think she was from Bethel also, which has this kind of weird narcissistic thing that what they're doing is right and don't question them. Same with the Apostle Catherine, and the same I think with Troy. they don't take the time to get the peer-reviewed information or peer-reviewed educations they need to if they're going to be in this. I'm doing it. I dive a lot into Hebrew. I dive a lot into peer-reviewed dissertations. In fact, on the cruise, I read a book, dissertation of Second Temple Hebrews, angelology and demonology and cosmology. So I'm up to speed on what the PhDs know and what they think. And so when I spout stuff out, when I talk, I can go to these charismatic churches. I'm a charismatic, but I'm calling it myself a recovering charismatic. When you walk through the doors of supernatural, you have to leave the church of the frozen chosen, where there's cessationism and all this other stuff. And they want miracles to happen. They don't know how. But if you're one of the people inside the church and it happens to you and you leave the church, you have to go through the doors of the charismatic church, because they're the ones that accept you and they're the ones that feel like they have the answers. And that's kind of where I went. And they don't have the answers either. They're fabricating other experiences. So, there's what do we call a charismatic that can read? A former charismatic, especially one that reads the Bible. Because I have a lot of hard times presenting information as biblical to the charismatic church. They don't want to hear it. But if I taught something for several weeks and they go, yeah, I get it now, and they hear a social media influencer like Katie Souza say something, or, we have mistaken the charismatic church charisma for charisma. You know what I'm saying? We've replaced charisma for charisma. Charisma are the gifts of God, and charisma is somebody who can win you over just by how they talk. Sort of like a used car salesman has charisma. That's what these social media influences are. Do not get your information from them. Curse breaking, you have to come and pay, that's the other thing I was laughing at Katie Souza the other day. Take our 30-day challenge and break free. If you go look at how these YouTube influencers are teaching other people to be YouTube influencers, they talk about, be sure and tell your audience to have a challenge them to do something. And I'm watching these things like, oh dear God, this will never fit in my curriculum. And all of a sudden I look over at Katie Souza, and that's the thing. I can give you a 30-day challenge to break free. Well, if you accepted Jesus Christ, you have broken free of your junk. We keep quoting, back at Exodus, whoever is angry at God or goes against God will be cursed for 3 to 4 generations. But whoever loves God will be blessed for generations. Be blessed. So what does it say about curse breaking? Yes, we do need it at times, not all the time. We got to cleanse our bloodlines. We got to do this. We got to do that. Even if you're a mom and you have 3 generations of high practicing occult witches in your thing, you're probably going to get spiritually attacked because they don't want to release the bloodline. But once you became a follower of Christ, you became baptized through spiritual warfare, through the waters, your curses were broken. These things are still trying to fight to get back in to make sure you're serious about what you're doing, because they've been stuck with generations. They're not going to give up easily. But we're not taught that by Katie Souza. You need to take my $850 conference. You need to come pay $350 to get my training material. It says, oh my God. Bad. So where do we go as Christians? Just stick with the Bible. Jesus told us when a thief breaks up into his house, be sure and bind him. When a thief breaks into your house, and he's bringing a weapon, you shoot him. You don't call your deliverance minister, hey, I've got this gun in the house, I got it loaded. Could you come shoot him for me? That's where church is at right now. And that's when we follow social media influencers, that's what we're doing. We're handing off the baton to somebody else. Hey, come do this for me. And that's not where it should be. So I hope this makes sense. If you're going through spiritual battles, I did, somewhere in my generational line, and I'm guessing around the early 1800s on, when my family came to the United States during the time of the Wild West. In fact, one of my great-grandfathers was a sheriff, or like a deputy sheriff, over in Virginia City, Nevada. And I think he or somebody else ticked off an Indian shaman, and our family line got cursed. Financially and all sorts of stuff. And we're still fighting to break that battle off right now too. But we're winning, right? It takes time. To break off the shaman curses and the witchcraft, it took me approximately 40 years of spiritual warfare to break that curse. It finally happened. Some curses are so harsh we don't know why they happen. And it's beyond the scope and spiritual warfare of your social media influencer, deliverance minister to know how to fight these, because you have to dig in. Jesus wants you to dig in and fight this. So anyway, we had a possible insertion too, where I have part Cherokee, so I don't know if there was a shaman that came through those bloodlines that was actually a shaman, because the type of battle that was fighting against these, we call the shapeshifters and stuff. It was weird. It was weird. And a lot of spiritual journeys through dreams at night. It was crazy, and it all kind of came to a nice, graceful end when I defeated these things. Like I said, 40 years through manifestations. That's how I got into deliverance ministry. There was nobody to help me. I had to go learn on my own, and it was through Jesus. So if you're asking for help in deliverance ministry, you probably don't know the Bible the way you should. And quit listening to garbage. Quit listening to a 30-day challenge. Turn off Katie Suze altogether. Go listen to Dr. Michael Heiser. Go listen to Tim Mackey. Tune those guys in. I don't know where any good sources are. I put all my books on Tales of Glory, a field guide to spiritual warfare, and an advanced field guide to spiritual warfare online in my podcast. Go find it on YouTube. Go find it on Spotify. Tales of Glory. It's a big red logo with the flaming lion. Tales of Glory. It's me. Or go look for Michael Norton, a field guide to spiritual warfare on YouTube. We're there. All the information you need is there, and all the stuff I went through. And I can't, it's frustrating and it's silly what these people are doing, and they're putting you into bondage. I haven't even got on the false prophecies part. I remember Abby talked about it, and I'm using her as a soundbite, that false prophecy and false testimony puts God's people into bondage, and that's what's going on here. So you need to wake up. You need to be a charismatic that reads. Or if you don't want to, go listen to my stuff. Go listen to Tales of Glory. Go look at it. And I'm not shopping this out to you to build up likes or universe. I put out all my books there. They're free. You could buy my books. I would love it. It would help it. But the stuff's out there for free. And they're training it and stuff's there too, especially curse breaking and all that stuff. Go learn about it. Go look about how the cosmology really works, how the realms really work, because Bethel doesn't have a clue. They don't. The Apostolic Reformed Church, whoever these guys are, they don't have a clue. I hope this helps. In spiritual warfare, you have to hunker down and learn how to pray. That's why I do a lot with St. Teresa of Avila. You have to develop your interior prayer life. You have to develop a relationship with God. And once you know God and God knows you, when you have these Katie Souza visitations, it doesn't freak you out. It's like, oh, really? And you just send them back to whence they came. That's another thing. Katie Souza, I know, is false testimony too, because she has far too many visitations consistently. And visitations come through the grace of the Holy Spirit. And so this individual is trying to prop themselves up. So you go to them and give them money and make them look like, they use that word, I hate it in the church, the anointed or the office. And it's to make them think they're higher than you and you can't question them. It's the same tactic the Apostle Catherine uses. If she has an anointing that you don't have, then how dare you question them? That's not in the Bible. So it is what it is, guys. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Like I said, I'm still involved with spiritual warfare stuff. I just answer stuff offline when I receive it, and sometimes I filter it. I have to discern it right away, like I did with Pastor Troy. What's really going on here? Because I don't have the person in front of me, and I have to discern based on the story they're telling me and what's really happening. And like I said, the giant one, you just look at that's a poker face. That's not a real face. There's no emotion be reflected back to you about if they saw something this fantastic, there should be lots of emotion like, oh my God, I'm looking right there. I'm faking it. I'm looking right there. And there's this just giant, it was right in front of me. I'm like, hey Bob, grab your camera. I'm just, don't scare it. Grab your camera. You see what I'm seeing? Okay, point your camera at it, but be sure and get me in the shot. I need to be in the shot too. That's my money shot. That's what really went down. Because I know these guys. I've been out with them. It is what it is, guys. So, thank you for tuning in, and God bless you guys. I love you. Have a great May, and I'm going to try to get more content and material out. Amen. Yeah, but turn it back down. Yeah. Good evening. Good idea.
Yeah. Zigzag.
Well, I'm not gonna. I think it's gonna hurt a lot more.
I'll meet you around there.
Have you guys ever seen like the at night ghost or something show up?
Oh, in my case, none.
No? Yeah.
But I hear some friends, some neighbors,
Yeah.
when they come here to care, like guardians.
Yeah.
People,
Mm-hmm.
they some ghosts or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
they,
yeah. So
they shoot you something, stones. They
they throw stones at them?
Yes.
Wow. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
They try to scare you, know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
In my case, never happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but some friends,
Yep.
neighbors, they told me. Actually, one guy from here, someday he brought at the package one bottle of medicine.
Yeah.
Okay, but just walking around and disappear. Yes, when they threw, they found, drop it. I don't know which time take it out, you know, but they
Or messing with
found
them?
it
Yeah,
straight,
they're
yes.
messing with them, or just
Yes,
yeah. That's
yes.
cool. Cool.
But well, my daddy, he told me when they going hunt deer or something animals, some ghosts just drop it to the ones,
Yeah.
to the palms, to scare it. Yes, to not in any kind of animal.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Makes sense.
that
Yeah.
they don't hunt nothing.
Mhm.
Yeah, but we have to do some kind of present
Right.
to give it
Yeah.
something, you know,
Mhm.
nature by nature. And here my granddaddy 2 years ago passed away. He teach me very well how prepare or how offering a something, you know.
Right.
When harvest a first corn, is the way how we prepare the drink and tortillas, and we put it in the middle. That's usually the way how we give it now, some present.
Yep.
Because remember in that times, Mayas they did it. They do it as sacrifices, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Animals or people.
Mhm. Mhm.
But now, no, we can't. Yes.
Yeah.
This reason we have to make other things to represent it,
Right.
our heritage. You know? Yeah. It's this reason we are here. Yes.
Yeah,
because
it's
I'm
beautiful.
considered part of the Mayan culture because my parents they from Yucatan Peninsula, where settled on the Mayan civilization.
Yeah, this is amazing. This is just it's
It
good.
is.
You have to preserve it.
It
Yeah.
is.